when they get on. All right. So now we are recording. We had our little prayer. So we've already done our opening prayer. How's everybody doing this morning?
Tired.
So yesterday was overwhelming, and today we're a little sleepy. Yeah. That's understandable. And tomorrow is the...
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better with it.
You're feeling a lot better? Good.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better myself. I am going to have to take off at least one class this evening and rehearse because I haven't rehearsed at all.
Okay.
Yay, you.
Okay, I could not, the link never came through, Val, so I'm just calling in.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know why. Donna got the new link I emailed out, so I'm not sure what's going on. Karen must not be on either. She was on the phone, but I imagine she'll chime back in here soon. So we prayed in with the daily word, and now we're moving on. We're just checking in. Everybody's a little sleepy. Okay. Anybody else have anything to add and check in? All right, so here's our 7 steps. We've gone through them every day. And we know that light is faith, firmament is strength, land is imagination, light and day is understanding and will. The fishes and fowls are wisdom, creatures and humans are love, and Sabbath is release. Okay, and we're going to start with Genesis 1:24 through 31. And God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures of every kind, cattle and creeping things and wild animals of the earth of every kind. And it was so. God made the wild animals of the earth of every kind and the cattle of every kind and everything that creeps upon the ground of every kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make humankind in our image according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. God said, see, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of earth, and to every bird of the animal, and to everything that creeps on earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food. And so it was so. And God saw that he had made, and indeed, God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the 6th day. So, I missed a slide. So, what does that mean? What are we talking about here in Genesis? If we interpret it, what is it all telling us?
We have everything we need.
We have everything we need.
According to this, everything is supposed to be a vegetarian.
Everything's supposed to be.
I think that's where the Fillmores did use that as their, didn't I read somewhere, you know, why they felt like they needed to be vegetarian.
But that says that only the animals were only given the green plants as food as well. So
Yeah.
they're not supposed to be eating each other.
That's right.
I thought it was interesting that in this was it the one before that said create them in our image and like according to our likeness. And we were talking yesterday, like were we there at the beginning? We are, you know, the creators. You know.
So who's the R?
Mhm.
Are we part in that divine mind, which we know that we are?
Right.
And it's interesting when it says, let us make humankind. That
Instead of
begs the
animals.
question, was it one man and one woman, or was it
Whole bunch.
a whole bunch of people?
Or
Yeah.
is it consciousness?
Yeah. The conscious.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got? And then he said here it creates in his image. So in the first part,
In the first part, it was
our image,
Mhm.
and then this one, it is in his image. In the
Right.
image of God, he created the male and female.
Are these the two Genesis stories?
No, this
No,
is
no.
this is all 24
All
through
20.
Genesis
Okay.
1, 24 verses 24 through 31.
Okay.
I'm so thankful for you guys teaching me that having dominion over all of that meant being caretakers of it all,
Mhm.
which we've done a crappy job of a lot of the time, but that's
Because
so
people
much.
think dominion means belong to me and I can do
Yes.
to you what
I
I
could
will.
do it for more. Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
I had that experience on our way in today because we ended up next to a truck filled with pigs that we were working at their house and we couldn't get away from it. And it was like, I just can't stand it. I just can't stand
You're
it.
vegetarian.
I don't eat red meat. I eat chicken and turkey, but
Yeah.
after this morning, I may not.
I know it's hard, you know, when we don't have to see something, we don't have to see the death. We don't have to.
Well, and part of the issue for me, to be honest with you, is that where I work is right next to the slaughterhouse. You know, the home was built on
Yes.
the old
Yes.
stockyards.
Yes.
So when we go, you know, we've got this lovely patio out in the back where we can go out and have lunch every day when the weather is nice.
Right.
The problem is that the wind is always coming from that direction. So
Yep.
not only do we get the horrid smell of death and fear, but we can hear the pigs scream as they die.
Oh, God.
And I just can't stand it.
Yeah, that would be horrid.
And yeah, so
You know, they used to
so
have
much for dominion.
the slaughterhouse in
Yeah.
at Melwood Arts and Entertainment Center.
Mhm.
And if you go in there, you know, we were going to get a place in there at one time, a shop. You can still smell it, the odor of the pigs, you know, like it reeks in the brick or something in the walls, you know.
Yeah,
So it's,
I can't imagine what the energy would be. I mean, it would take a long time to overcome that much negative
energy.
energy.
And I come from a farm background where we cared for our animals and we killed them humanely, and I'm still a carnivore. And I like what one vegetarian guy wrote. He said, whatever you choose to eat that day, plants or animals, something had to die for you to consume it.
That's right.
But so if I had to see that kind of slaughter and that kind of treatment,
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it.
Right.
Well, and
Bless your heart.
I also grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
And, you know, the animals were my friends.
Yes.
And so then when they showed up on the dinner table, I've basically had not eaten meat most of my life, or
Yeah.
not much.
Pigs are very intelligent
Just-
animals.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's
There's
like
a guy
they
who
know.
wrote a book, Pigtails,
Mhm.
and he went to all these different slaughterhouses, and these poor pigs, excuse me, are all in cages next to one another. And the little piglets are in a cage next to the mama, and they have to suckle through the cage, and then their feces just, you know, falls down through and they said if the fans were turned off for a minute, all those pigs would die. There's so much, you know,
Toxins.
the stench, and
They can't sweat.
so we shouldn't talk about this.
No.
Yeah, we kind of got off
No.
topic. Sorry.
It's okay. All good things. All, you know, whatever we choose. And,
I mean,
you know,
we're talking about what we got out of this, and this is what you guys got
Right.
out of it.
but you know, whatever we choose, it needs to be done in a humane way and
Mhm.
with respect.
With respect.
know.
Yeah.
I think every critter I eat.
Mm-hmm. It's a blessing,
Now,
whatever.
if a
it
critter
is.
comes to eat me, I may not thank them.
To me, I also see this as on the sixth step that you have created it and it's there, it's all there, but your job is not done. Now you must take care of what you've created.
Okay.
Yes, be responsible.
Mhm.
Right. So from the Mysteries of Genesis, the sixth step is bringing forth of ideas after their kind. So we create the ideals after their kind. When we approach creativity and thoughts, we become closer to God, and the Christ consciousness occurs in man. So as we become closer to God through that creative process, we align with that Christ consciousness. Which is why you guys went where you went to with the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're looking at it from that moralistic Christ consciousness perspective. So the creation of ideas of life are set into activity. Cattle, which are the ideals of strength and established in strength. Creeping things are the ideas of life, which are more subtle in their expression, closer to the realm of sense or microorganisms. Beasts are the free energies of life which relate to sensations. Divine ideas are always set into activity. These ideas of sensation in their purity are ideas of life functioning in substance or divine ideal of life. When expressed in divine order, it's pronounced as good. Sense consciousness in man, which some may condemn, in truth, is to be lifted higher into its right place. As ideas of life are properly related to love and wisdom, man finds eternal satisfaction instead of sense pleasure. Wisdom and love are two qualities of being, communing together, declaring, "Let us make man in our images and likeness." The image of man in truth is the Christ. The Christ has dominion over all ideas from divine mind. So now do you see where the R comes from? The R. The O-U-R. In our image.
Yes.
So it's divine mind from those two faculties
Yeah.
included as wisdom and love.
Which are represented by the masculine and feminine.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So they're part of the being. They're qualities of the being of God. The creation in the 6 days of the sixth step or stage of God is wholly spiritual. And do not confuse it with manifestation. God is mind. All works are created in mind as perfect ideas. The creation story is a description of the ideal creation.
The first one, the creation in 6 days or 6 steps or stages of God mind is wholly spiritual. Do not confuse them with manifestation. I mean, do not say that they're 6 days only. Is that what it's saying? Or
This goes back to what we were talking about yesterday, that the creation story is the story of the spiritual creation of the
Right.
universe,
right,
not the physical.
not the physical. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
However,
Yeah.
God mind chose to do that.
Yeah.
What kind of evolution or
With management.
It's
Yeah.
the same like the parallel with the process of healing. You can heal yourself in a moment, and then it might take a couple years for that to manifest, express in your body.
Right. So the manifestation
They're separate.
are
Oh, I
separate.
got you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man plans in his mind. First the idea, then visible. This is the process which all creation passes. God makes all things in mind first, which is involution. Then they are made into form and shape, which is evolution.
I love how that movie Joy showed me how she created not just the miracle mop, but all these neat things she's done. The little skinny coat hangers and all that stuff. That woman has such neat ideas in her brain and translates them out. That's an amazing success story.
What is this, Paula?
Joy.
I haven't heard of this.
It's Jennifer Lawrence, a movie.
Okay.
And how what struggle she went through to produce this mop that's better than it, and it's still on the market. They still sell it at Bed Bath & Beyond and other places.
God carries man in mind as an ideal quality. The image and likeness, man, of God's creation and God's divine plan is dependent for its success on the manifestation by man of this idea. Divine plan is moved forward by idealism, which keeps man moving higher and higher in consciousness.
This is where the Fillmores got their idea of keeping in mind in their prayers back in the beginning, the idea of the perfect man.
I'm not sure. It's possible.
It makes sense.
Yeah. This is definitely where they got the thoughts create our world. Our thoughts create our world. And that we manifest them. The image and likeness man pours into humankind a stream of ideas which the individual man arranges as thoughts and forms as substance and life. So in this evolutionary process, there seems to be two men, one idea and one spiritual, and the other intellectual and material. United, the ideal man is the Christ. So does that answer your question? Yeah. As mind comes into an understanding of certain creative facts, a man's creative powers, a directive is established. An intelligent center which harmonizes these two men, ideal and spiritual versus intellectual and material.
Bless you. I hope I didn't give all this stuff to y'all.
I know, mine's definitely allergies. Directive center is called BI804.
Directive center. Cool.
More than the human I, when joined with the image and likeness I, the true I am comes into action. Christ Jesus, the Son of God, evolved and visible in creation according to divine law. Okay. So, any questions, comments?
I'm surprised in Unity today. When I was driving home day before yesterday, and I mean, I was really, allergies just overwhelmed me. And literally I was talking out loud in the car and saying, In the name of Jesus Christ, I see this moving right on through and being gone back into the nothingness from where it came. And I did that not because of my previous background, but because in a previous class, Charles talked about how important it was to invoke the name Jesus Christ when you were trying to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surprised we don't do that routinely. You know, we say affirmative prayers,
Mm-hmm.
but I hardly ever say, in the name of Jesus Christ, when we're doing a healing prayer.
You know, when I was young, we did.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of gotten out.
Yeah, probably so. When I do it personally, I still say it. You know, when I'm doing my own personal healing and my own personal work, or with my, you know, family and things like that, when I'm more, and this is probably not a good thing actually, but when I'm more in the public and even here at church, I don't necessarily say it because we have the thought process that there are many different backgrounds of individuals here. And because Jesus is my way shower, and even though it's Unity's foundation, it may not be the person's personal preference, or they may have some leftover stuff from their own upbringing, and that would turn them off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more so probably. And so in order to help them overcome that in the long run, sometimes it's better to forego that. Not that that's true or not, but that's probably the reasoning that I see behind it.
Yeah, me too. And even the mission of God isn't done, you know, spirit or whoever.
I think even the Fillmores, you know, they were very Jesus oriented, but not, I mean, they did a lot of things and then pulled back, you know, and focused on scripture and, yeah.
When I hear anything, you know, healing in the name of Jesus Christ, I think about the evangelists that my grandma would take me to go see, you know, whenever they were here. And not that it's necessarily a bad feeling, but I can see where that would, you know, make some people cringe inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was just surprised that as close as Unity tries to stick to how Charles and Myrtle did it, that's one thing they've let go.
Not all. Now I'm going to say there are some that is part of their
Some Unity
churches that is part of their thinking and their belief and their philosophy, and they're not going to deviate from that. And also at that same time, there are a lot of things that they don't allow to come into the church that we have that they do not have.
Yes. It's kind of neat how each one's different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wonder too, the average person in the pew at Unity, I don't know that they know this perspective of Charles and Myrtle and what Unity really believes. It's more of a, like when I first came, you know, it was like crystals or angels, or I couldn't get a grasp of what Unity was about. But then when you learn what it's about, it's very spiritual, very grounded, very, you know, certainly Jesus-oriented, actually.
I don't think we really learn till we take Unity Basics.
I think you could say that of any religion, not just Unity.
Yes,
I mean, the average person in the pew comes and they enjoy being with the other people, and they enjoy being in that
music,
energy, they enjoy the music and the social time. And it's not until you make that next step of going deeper and saying, well, what is this all about? You really start to benefit from the understanding and be able to apply it in your life. An hour a week is just not enough.
Right.
Especially when only 5 or 10 minutes of that is really the information.
Yeah, because you're only looking at 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think part of the reason, at least in my experience, why some of that stuff doesn't happen on Sunday morning is because so many people are finding Unity from other faith traditions where they've had bad experiences.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's a conscious decision by Unity ministers or if it just turns out that way, but my experience has been that the churches I've been in tried very hard to make this a different experience from what people have had in the past. So most churches don't have a cross. a lot of ministers don't go to the scriptures when they're looking for, when they're doing their talks. The songs are not going to be the old-time hymns, with the exception of maybe the Lord's Prayer, because that would not get people to come back. And the worship service on Sunday morning, I think, is designed to get people in and get it to the point where they do want to know more. That's been my experience, and I don't know if it's true universally, but
For some, that is true. For others, that is not true.
Like, why do we come together on Sunday? And how does that fit into the whole big picture of what we believe and who we are?
Most people come to churches for, I'll rephrase this. The findings are that most people come to Unity churches because they've been disenfranchised with their own religious experience, or they've been through some type of challenge in their life, and they're at a crossroads, and they're looking for something different. They're either here to be healed, through whether it's addiction, trauma, physical health issues, or they're here because they want a community to belong to, because as it's our human nature to want to be part of something bigger than what we are, because that's what we truly are, is something bigger than what we are. But we don't understand that, because most people don't understand until you've studied that, we are all one. And so they're seeking for that something bigger, and they don't know what it is. And so they want to try to find a community that is, that they can possibly function within, other than what they already had because they were damaged in some way by that process.
So we do that gathering on Sunday morning just because it's like tradition in our culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know the first time I went into a Unity church, I believe it was in Indianapolis, and I was about 18. And for me, it was just to come into a place, and when they sang the peace song, the first time I joined hands and sang the peace song, I just bawled. To come into a church where they didn't even know you, but they held your hand and talked of love. That was totally foreign. Most churches, you walk through the door and you're already saying, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." You were greeted totally differently than, and I think, to me, it reminds me of when people come into Unity, it reminds me of people coming to see a beautiful package, and they walk in and there's this beautiful package, and it's so breathtaking, it takes a long time to be able to open it because they're afraid they're going to screw it up. When you walk in and there's such a feeling like that, you're afraid to plug yourself into it. All you know is that you go in there and you feel it, and you're so afraid that you could mess that up, I think. That's kind of the way I felt, and it took me a long time to be able to go to Unity and not cry. It took me a long time to be able to walk into an energy, because I could feel it. To me, it was palatable. You could feel, and it was for all the other churches too, in a different way. Mm-hmm. For Unity, it was, you could feel the acceptance and the love, and you just, for me, it's kind of like knocking the breath out of you. It kind of made me speechless. It took me a long time to be able to get past feeling like I didn't want to mess that up.
Right. Which is, go ahead.
So what you're saying is, instead of talking about Jesus, we express Jesus.
Yes.
And what he was about.
We express the love.
Yeah. So
in that
even a step more basic than that. You were included. You felt, I felt I could feel the energy of love walking through the door, rather than feeling the energy of, who is this? What's she doing here? Look at how she's dressed. Look how big her boobs are. She looks, it was an inclusive feeling of acceptance and love that had nothing to do with who you were or where you came from. It was you're human and you're here seeking just like everybody else. So it didn't even enter into any religion or anything like that. It was just a feeling of love.
So actually it was an experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's what we strive for, is the spiritual, the holy spiritual experience.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's our goal in Unity Churches, I think, is for people to experience spirituality at that level of Christ consciousness as love, being that wisdom. And I think that most of the time we do that fairly well. I mean, I grew up in this Unity Church, and we hug each other, and that sometimes is scary for somebody coming in new. And that's why we always say you might want to put your hand out, because, we will hug you if you give us an opportunity, because we want to share that love and that inclusion and just nurture each other. And so that's part of being that spiritual Christ that I am, and standing in that truth. And that's hard sometimes. I mean, it was hard for my husband to come into our family because when we walk out of the house and go to the store or something, then we come back in, you get hugged. And you'd be like, why do you hug each other for? That's weird. And he had never really been hugged. His family was not touchy-feely, and we are. And that's why you'll hear sometimes people don't like us, because we are touchy-feely, because we create that spiritual experience of love.
I had a good friend of mine at the church in Minneapolis came to church on Sunday morning. She was going to help me teach Sunday school in the summer. She brought her husband. And we went to church for the first service with us, and then she was going to help me teach Sunday school. Well, we do the greet your, same thing in a lot of churches. Mm-hmm. And he declined to come upstairs and help us teach Sunday school, and instead went outside and sat under a tree, because he could not be in the energy of us shiny, happy people. Right. Because he was going through something in his life at that time that was really disturbing and upsetting to him. Yes. And he couldn't be in the energy of that much love and acceptance because of where he was at with the situation with his brother, and would never come back because he was overwhelmed by the shiny, happy people. And ended up going, but the good news is he liked the experience of being in church so much, then ended up going back to his ELCA Lutheran church, right, and becoming part of it, which he hadn't been to in years. Good. But it brought him back to his spirituality and his religious expression. It just didn't work for him to be in a Unity church. Right. But I thought it was so cool that his normal church experience he missed it because he was with us, and it was okay that we weren't his path, right, because we brought him to his path, right, or back to it. Right. Yeah.
There are different tribes.
Yes.
And we're comfortable in, and thankfully, God works in all of them. Yeah. But you're right, I can see where it
was overwhelming. I love that, the description. I mean, he was saying it as a very pejorative, but we're shiny, happy people. Shiny, happy I loved it.
Yeah. But that's what, and so that's why we try to create the holy experience.
What I liked about it was wasn't a hard sales job either. It wasn't like, it seems like you go in, you find one extreme or the other. You're either kind of feeling shut out, not in Unity, but in many churches. You're feeling kind of shut out because they don't know you, or you're feeling overwhelmed because everybody runs up to you and tackles you. And to me, this was totally different. It was kind of like maybe if a animal that wasn't yours came up around your house and you allow it to come up and sniff and check everything out. That's the way it kind of felt with me when I first started coming to Unity. I didn't get scared off by people running up to me and bowling me over, but yet I could feel the energy, and I felt very welcome. And when I became a prayer chaplain, that was one of the things I tried to do. Rather than be the one to walk right up to people, I would just try to bless them as they walked through the door, to find something good about everybody that walked in the door in my mind, and to bless them, because to me that's the energy they're feeling. That's what they're feeling.
Okay.
Wow.
We want to take a break here before we go into Genesis 2. Well, we got started right on this one,
But they still go so fast.
which is a good thing.
The day may not go by fast, but the classes do.
The day doesn't, because after you leave here, you go home and study or not.
Yeah.
Oh, Val,
I mean, y'all are getting out there until 8 o'clock at night.
Did you want Reverend Val, Donna?
What?
I thought somebody said your name.
What'd you say?
it's Jenny.
Oh, hi, Jenny.
Hey, Val, I wanted to let you know there's a, and I'll be there after the lunch, but on the table where I normally sit, there's a little yellow disc and a glass pyramid, and those are 2 more of the biogenesis tools.
Wow. These are cool.
Wow.
They are. And the disc, they call them wheels, and they have, most of them run clockwise, some of them run counterclockwise. The clockwise ones are to increase the energy, which makes sense for us on this hemisphere, to increase the energy of whatever they particularly do. The counterclockwise are to help rid the body of whatever energy they work with.
Cool.
So, no.
Hey.
I just saved about your hand
Oh, my casserole.
by giving them to you when you're right here.
Mailing out the letters.
Yeah, instead of, for Shelley and Robin and Carla, instead of mailing it to them, here's your letter. Take it home and you read it. Show up. Or somebody who wants to be an LUT says, I'll do it as part of my LUT training.
Mm. Well, that's neat.
Absolutely. So I think this concept of the illusion that we used to do it for 28 weeks or whatever. So you gotta find somebody to be mom. Because it was Rick the mom's name, mom. But with this story, she got in his Andre's name. They took it literally with us.
Jenny, are you going to be here tomorrow?
I know it. I know it. I will leave that in the face and not have to do that.
Everybody involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's done, and I can actually give you all the credit tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Are you Charles in time? No, no.
I'm telling you, the letter I just read was phenomenal. Could come from a place that's not. And I got goosebumps. I didn't know that. Good job. Captain, or we're looking to become their captains.
We didn't suspend it, we changed it.
Yeah.
I think a little different.
And Kathy, your training would not be for nothing in this church. Your training is perfect for, it's all for you. So you can't comfortable with this bag, right? I did. Oh, no, they all fit. Okay. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Can you answer a picture? Can we type that this on your thing? And then can we print it out? No. Okay. But we can type it. We can do it today. And determine you and you guys can hold your next long break. Are you going to stay here? I've got to go to the second. When? Oh, tonight? Today. So you're ready to collect this? We'll type up, get this together. Here, type it, the wording for you to read. You got it from mom? Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Okay, is everybody coming back? Children of God, it's time to come back.
I'm here.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get these children in here to come in here and quit playing.
Play the bowl.
Huh?
That's good.
Do your bowl. That ought to bring everybody back.
That bell right beside you.
Yeah.
You're going to be in a play tomorrow. You're having a vision or you're affirming this for me or you're going to see it.
Yes. Here's what we were thinking. I had a dream about what happened to Charles when he was taken by the Indians, and Kathy had a vision last night before she went to sleep that we could basically.
Hey, Reverend Bounds,
Yeah.
are there messages or something that are sent throughout when we're on here? Because I'm continually hearing it chime, and I have every day as if there's messages.
No, when
Like if someone's chatting.
mute their microphone, then or come back in, then it chimes.
Okay.
As people come in and out, you know, if they have to leave and then come back, it chimes.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, unless you have something to catch too. If I didn't think of something, I'd do that anyway, but I'd do this too. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I was just making sure I wasn't missing. I thought maybe you were making notes or something as we were going and I was missing parts.
No, I don't have that much energy today.
Can't go too far.
All right, we all back?
Thank you for the break.
You're welcome.
We just created something.
Yeah, we did.
You did?
Yeah,
Yes,
we did.
The main instigator here.
It works.
It works?
It works.
It works.
Someone talks about
Yeah.
he think of a lot of this stuff in his dreams.
Mhm.
Where it comes
Well, I
from.
couldn't sleep. All this
Maybe
was
that
coming,
counts.
I thought, I got to think about something here because I can't get to sleep.
So what have
Yeah.
y'all created and how did you create it? Did you use a process?
And she's so inclusive.
Well, in the next class,
Mhm.
the development of the unity movement, there's the piece Ray said when Charles was a child and he was taken by the Indians and then brought back.
Mhm.
And, there's a lot of speculation because nobody knows what really happened. And he flippantly said, and if you want to write about what you think may have happened to him in that day, you can write that for your paper. And we weren't sure if he was kidding. So I had a dream that night about what happened in that day that I was going to write. And last night when Kathy couldn't sleep, she had this whole thing come into her brain, which is
play.
basically my dream. So we're going to do it as a play. And everybody in the class who wants to participate can participate in it, even online.
Mhm.
And we all get credit and don't have to write the paper.
Yay! See?
2 birds, 1 stone creation.
There you go. Release it and let it go.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to look at Genesis 2, 1 through 3. So, thus the heavens and earth were finished and all their multitude. And on the 7th day, God finished the work that he had done, and he rested on the 7th day from all the work that he had done. So God blessed the 7th day and hallowed it, because on it God rested from all the work he had done in creation. These are the generations of heaven and earth when they were created. I did that, didn't I? So, what are we talking about here? This is the 7th day.
Calling it finished, having it be done.
Okay. What are heavens and earth?
From what I remember reading, they're the 2 different planes of consciousness.
Okay.
It's what we're going to do after tomorrow.
So we're going to do after tomorrow in what way?
We're going to rest.
We're going to rest. Okay. What else?
You let it go and let it come to you, and you accept it and realize it for its good.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And you bless it and you send it out. You send it out for everyone to enjoy. You release it to everyone.
Okay.
You release the good.
And you say this or something better.
Yes, you do.
Mhm.
And you don't keep harping on it.
No.
For me,
Tweaking
it's the idea that, do something until it's done
Mm-hmm.
and then celebrate the fact that it's done
Mm-hmm.
before you move on to the next thing.
Ah.
Yes, closure.
Mhm.
Because I find myself doing that a lot of times. I'll finish something and instead of looking at what I've finished and saying, wow, this is really nice, I'm already on to the next thing like it wasn't important. And so this reminds me, even for a moment, to give thanks for that which is complete before I move on to the next thing. Catch my breath.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And not letting something go. Just keep tweaking it and just, trying to make it perfect.
Okay.
Right?
whether it's a painting or a paper or whatever it is.
Yes, for sure.
Let go.
Carla, that's what I was just thinking. If Michelangelo had kept, chipping away and chipping away and chipping away, instead of David, we'd have a pile of rocks.
I have a small story to tell on that. That's actually something I was going to mention in my album release. I had never designed an album cover at all, and I wasn't familiar with the templates and stuff that they used, and I'm not a graphic designer, but I had all the software. So by the time I collected all of the photos and everything I wanted to use, I thought, there's no sense paying for this. I've already, got everything compiled. So I thought, well, I'm going to do the template and I'm going to send it off to the company and make sure I've got everything the right size, and it has to be a particular type of files, and it has to fit this particular way, and some of them have to be upside down. And I thought, first things first, I'll send this off and make sure I even know what I'm doing. So the guy gets back and he says, yeah, you've got everything's right, the files are the right size and all that. So over the next month, I perfected things. I made pictures brighter. I found a typo. I fixed that. I found a couple mistakes that I fixed and got it.
Oh, we lost you. We lost
Line place where you could just upload this.
Hold on.
You there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost you for a sec.
Go back to where you got it, because that's where we lost you.
Okay, well, I got it all done, and I had tweaked it and had it all, fixed errors and made the pictures lighter. And they had an online account where I could just upload that stuff instead of actually doing a template and emailing it. So I went to that account, and I logged in, and I uploaded everything, and I got everything done, and I was so thrilled, and I waited, and my box of albums came, and I was like a kid at Christmas. I'm ripping them open. I pull out the first CD. I had them shrink wrapped, tore that shrink wrap off and opened it up and just dissolved in tears.
Oh.
They used the original template that I had emailed them.
Oh.
Oh.
I had a box of albums that had typos, had mistakes, and had dark pictures.
Wow.
I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I called, and I called, and I called. And they had a meeting, and they said, look, we've decided that we'll cover half the cost. We'll reprint your covers. We'll send them to you, and you can repackage these CDs. They won't be shrink wrapped, but you can repackage them.
Right.
And I sat there, and it came to me like a bolt of lightning. This is the story of my life. I am so upset with the packaging that I can't even get to what it's really about. And I said, you know what? I'm putting them out there just like they are. Yeah. I'm not throwing away all these CD covers.
Yeah.
I'm not going through it. They're going out just like they are. And that's the way, that's the story.
Gosh.
Yeah. And on the next run, you got it all fixed.
That's right.
Now, life sometimes has imperfections, and it is good.
Yeah.
Talking about Michelangelo, when we were in Italy and we went to see David, and it was so busy in there, and what I enjoyed more than his finished work, they have a gallery with his unfinished work. So it looks like bodies are trying to come out of this rock. And I enjoyed the unfinished things more than I did his finished masterpiece.
Wow.
Good for
Oh, wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah. All right. So the heaven and earth are the two planes of consciousness that reside in all of us. The one is pure ideas, and the other thought forms. God doesn't create the visible directly. Man makes a concrete pavement. So the pure ideas come from God, and then we make it visible. God's creations are spiritual. Man's creations are both material and spiritual. Divine mind is the mental activity. You have first the conception of the idea, and then second, the expression of the idea. Every idea has spirit of life, followed by increase of the idea in substance. Wisdom, which represents the male or masculine quality, are the expressive side of being, sometimes called the father quality of God. And love, the female receptive side of being, sometimes called the mother quality of God. These two qualities of a mind exist in every idea and unite to increase and bring forth under divine law. Blessed by divine mind, wisdom, and love increase spirit. With both qualities, we are a master of ideas and bring forth their original creative law.
Question.
Yes.
For people who set about to create, word can I use? Crime. Ideas which aren't going to be for people's highest good.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what their whole thing of what that timeline of their creation looks like. I mean, we're all creating, right? Mm-hmm. Including them.
Mm-hmm. And they're in my thought process, they're creating from the atom consciousness, the lower level of creation.
Sense consciousness.
The sense consciousness, not from the spiritual consciousness. So we create from both. Okay? So we're creating out of the lower wisdom consciousness, or the lower sense consciousness that we have when that happens.
You helped me see that so clearly. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be it's kind of like baking a cake. If you have somebody that has all the proper ingredients and knows what kind of cake they're baking, and they dump it all in and go through the process, then they come out with a beautiful cake. And then you can take somebody else that uses crappy ingredients, dumps it all in and goes to the process, and you might come out with a cake, but it's not going to be like the first cake. It's kind of what you get, what you put into it, I guess is what I'm trying. Does that make sense?
Right. You know, it's like when you cook, and I love to cook, so, you know, when I cook with the thoughts in mind of love as I'm cooking, then the meals typically are beautiful and they're nourishing and they taste wonderful, and sometimes the presentation is beautiful. And then when I'm just in a hurry and I'm not paying attention and I'm not giving it the love, then that's typically what I get, is a hurried, maybe not so great meal. So the thoughts behind what we're creating, and whether we're creating it with love and with the wisdom, or whether we're just hurrying through to get it done.
It strikes me that, you know, based on the whole baking thing, it's like adding the yeast to the unleavened bread.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or doing laundry for the sake of doing laundry, and or whatever household thing you've got, and just not even being present when you do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, how much of my day do I infuse with mindlessness?
Mm-hmm.
And so my question to you is, when you're doing those mindless activities, how can you make it mindful?
Be present. Just show up right where you're at.
Mm-hmm. And that's
Scrubbing the toilet or whatever it is.
Yep.
I think a lot of it is about attitude. Because I know when I look around my house and it's Saturday, and I would much rather be outside doing something fun, and I can't, because if I don't do laundry, I'm going to show up to work Monday naked. It's like, and I have this attitude of, I have to do this, but I really don't want to, and then it's drudgery.
Yes. But if I look at it and I go, you know what, this is going to be so cool because I'm going to have in 2 hours clean clothes. And when that's done, then I'll have time to do what I want. If the time flies, it gets done in excellence, and it's fun. My attitude determines whether that chore is drudgery or fun.
Right.
Gosh.
Yep.
You know, watch HGTV while I'm doing my laundry.
Exactly. You know, the people, I've read that book. You read the book, Who Moved My Cheese?
Who moved it?
Who Moved My Cheese? You know, and I think that's the book that's about, you know, in Washington, the state of Washington, the people that work in that farmer's market and the fish market, I mean, they got a nasty, smelly job.
Right.
And they decided we can either, this can be crappy, or they can have fun, and they throw the fish, and they
There's another one too. It's called the fish philosophy.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, why don't I know this? Why don't I apply it? Duh.
Well, my kids used to think I was crazy because when I clean house, especially when I'm dusting or something, I usually do it with the music full blast and dancing.
Yeah.
Yay.
You know,
Yeah.
just because it makes it more fun.
It does.
You know, and the dogs dance with me, and it's just, you know, I'll pick the dog up and we'll dance around. And when I had the big dog, he just stood up on me and we just danced together. So, you know, yeah. Like when I do my yoga, my dog does, well, Yoda used to do it with me. Now Daisy hasn't, she's still a puppy. She hasn't learned how yet.
Did you see the video on Facebook of the woman who was trying to do yoga and she was trying to put her legs behind her head and the dog was sitting there showing her how to do it? She couldn't get her leg behind her head, but the dog was sitting there with his leg over his head going, what? It was really good.
That's funny.
Yeah, so it is a lot of attitude. Why are we doing what we're doing? If we're being aware of, we're doing it from that point of love. And we're creating that loving atmosphere. I mean,
And you're going to go through it, regardless of which attitude you have. Why would you choose to spend 1 minute in drudgery when you can make a better choice? I'm going to remember that because my house is filthy after this week.
Well, and it even comes down to, for me, and right now my house is cluttery. I don't like stuff because that means I have to dust it.
Yes.
Sister, you know what Ray says about dust? If God didn't want the dust to be there, God wouldn't have put it there.
Yeah, right.
That's what Ray says about dust.
Well, that's good, but it is there, and Bella doesn't want it there. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's you know, and it's just simplifying for me. It's just being present and knowing that through all things, you know, you bring it forth with love, then it's good. And even if we don't bring it forth in love, there's good. We just have to dig deeper to find it sometimes.
I love these classes.
Anything that makes housework look like something that I want to do.
Yes.
All right, seed ideas with reproductive capacity. So seed ideas are the reproductive capacity that we all have. Every idea is a seed sown in substance of mind, which becomes the real food on which man is nourished. Man has access to divine mind's seed ideas, and through prayer and meditation, man quickens and appropriates the substance of those ideas, originally planned in the I am by the parent mind. Provisions as made for all divine ideas. Primitive forms of life are fed on herbs. They have a sustaining force that is food to them, as divine ideas are food to man.
What kind of herbs is that?
So it's the primitive flight and flight type. So where is our consciousness? The criminal, it's the lower primitive forms of life. And what does herbs, what are herbs? Look it up, Robin. It's in there.
Herbies. Herbs. Do you have herbs in here?
Not mine.
Nope,
Nope.
not in this one.
Mm.
Let's check the other one. Because you never know.
I doubt if it's in there.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, if we go back to the verse, let's go back up here.
I don't remember seeing that. Oh. Closer to the microorganism thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I see they're saying. It's like the microorganisms are like an amoeba, you know, how they have what nourishes them as they go through their growing process.
Right.
And yeah.
Divine mind, being all good, sees only its own creation as good. Man, cooperating fully with divine mind, imagining only good, beholds with a single eye and sees only good. Concentrated in man of all ideas of divine mind. Man is given authority and dominion over all ideas. So the single eye is our imaging and our imagination, which is our third eye.
Which I like that concept too, because it relates physically, really. I mean, if you think about it, you have two eyes, but when you look out towards the world around you, it appears as one eye.
That's right.
Cool.
Yeah, you don't see two, you
No.
see one. Comes together as a focus as one.
Hopefully.
Yes. And that's the completion of the sixth step in the mind unfoldment. So, did I miss something? Anything left from this story?
I have a question that's been going through my mind a lot as we talk about this. 30 years ago when I was in high school, I had this physics teacher who was an interesting character. He went to our parish, so I know like his background was Catholic. But in class one day, he was talking about that in the Bible it said that the Sabbath was on a different day of the week than Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this huge discussion. And I was like trying to figure out, does he mean like on some kind of like higher abstract level, or does he actually mean literally on a different day of the week, Sunday through Saturday? And he didn't have to tell us. He was just like, you have to figure this out for yourself. And that conversation with him has been coming back as we've been going through this whole story about this.
And so what do you think it is now?
I still can't figure out on a concrete level what it would be. Just on an abstract level, with a lot of the work that I've done the last few years, it seems like, for me, the Sabbath is when you just let something go, and for me, I have to give it back to God. I can't just let it go. I have to say, I've done what I can with it, now you go do whatever the next thing is on it. Like with my art show. I've created it, I'm going to relax, let it go, and I mean, it looked like it was here, but really I just gave it back to God, to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't figured out what other day of the week it might be on a concrete level, Sunday through Saturday day of the week. I've just figured out more about what Sabbath means to me on the spiritual level.
You know, the Jewish people, don't they celebrate the Sabbath on Saturday.
Yeah, and in that conversation, I still remember this. It was 30 some years ago. He had said, Saturday is wrong and Sunday is wrong. It's a different day of the week. I've never figured out what he was talking about.
I don't think it matters physically what day it is. I think it's all, you know, and it is, like you said, Shelley, it's when you give it back, and it's also when you celebrate it. You celebrate that.
Oh,
We lost you, Donna.
Let go of it.
You celebrate it and let go of it? We lost it.
You're done.
And in
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a minute.
Okay.
what difference? The only time and space is what we perceive, so why does it matter?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I don't think that that's going to affect, you know, whether or not I am a student of truth, if I know which day the Sabbath is physically, or if I know exactly the date Jesus was born. I just don't. I think it's more to get the lesson.
To me, we had a big conversation about this in our last class that we did.
Hebrews.
Yeah, in the Hebrew Scriptures. Yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of time
Talking about the
talking
Sabbath.
about this and why it was Saturday and why it got moved to Sunday and who moved it and why. Was it a political move? You know, what was the whole thing behind it?
Mhm.
So it's like a whole cultural, political tradition.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing is, when this was written, when Genesis, like 500 or 900 BCE, or you might say, when did they start developing a calendar? Because, you know, for a long time they just knew day after day after day. There was no concept of a week or time for many years until someone decided, you know,
Mhm.
seasons, and then let's just put this into some kind of organization. And we developed a 7-day calendar, 30-day month or whatever, 12-month year. But none of that was, you know, developed for many, many.
Not till at least the Mayans.
Yeah.
And all we knew prior to the development of the calendar was day.
Mm-hmm.
In Jesus' time, they had the temple. I mean, they talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Was there a regular period of every so many days everyone would show up there? Did they go every day, or they just went when they could?
Say that again?
In Jesus' time, I'm wondering, what was their tradition of how often they would all go to the temple? Would they just go there when they could? Would they, like most people would go like every 2 days, or a certain number of days, or they just go in the season when they weren't growing things and needed to do that stuff?
Yeah, because when
Or would they just go every day? And
Actually-
then, like, it was random who would be there, and that's who you'd communicate
Right.
with?
It was probably up to whoever was in charge at that time and what day they wanted off.
It was pretty much open for the Pharisees and the Sadducees to be there. And people came on a daily basis. Okay. Is my understanding. Because they brought offerings on a daily basis.
Methods of timekeeping can be reconstructed for the prehistoric period from at least the Neolithic. The natural units for timekeeping used by most historical peoples were the day, the solar year, and the lunation. The first recorded calendars date to the Bronze Age, according to Wikipedia.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, and
It was
I'm
a
wondering
Jewish calendar.
if your physics teacher wasn't trying to make the point that it doesn't matter it's not about the day. So Saturday is wrong and Sunday is wrong if you're doing it because you're told you have to. And really the Sabbath is more about taking the time to
More
rest.
abstract. It's not a fun thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember Reverend Rob doing a sermon one time about the whole idea of, 666 being the sign of the devil in Revelations. And the way he described it was, for many people, especially in this culture, you work 6 days,
Mm-hmm.
and then you skip your day of rest and you work another 6 days.
Right.
And so the 666 is a sign of not ever Sabbathing. And,
right.
He couched it a lot in terms of, personal care and taking care of yourself and, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But also in terms of if you're always working in the material world and you're never giving any of your time to your spiritual life and to God, that's when you fall into that trap. And I'm just wondering if maybe that might not have been what he was referring to. I don't know.
He since made his transition. I'm not going to know for a long time, probably. I would love to go back and say, Mr. Ramsey, what were you talking about?
Yeah, and it really, I think, has to do with it, more so like Robin was saying, it is what it means to you.
Mm-hmm.
And we never really take time to rest. And rest is really letting go and releasing. And so how do we do that? And how do we bring that into our everyday life? Which is one reason why I think in Jesus' time, you could go to the temple and release every day because you're giving your offering, which was a form of release in that period of time. There was also a form of control. You had to do it. Mm-hmm.
I just find it amazing that he started the conversation 30 years ago and we're still having.
He was a troublemaker.
I love those teachers. They're the best. Mm-hmm.
He'd ask you things like, okay, this is the formula of how this thing works. And you do your labs and you get your numbers and they don't quite add up. They never quite added up. And so he'd get you thinking about why is that? If this is the formula and this is how it works, where's the rest of this energy go or come from? Or you're like, why does this not add up? What is it that we don't know yet? And he always had you thinking about things.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the Mysteries of Genesis, they refer,
I think Charles talks about the mathematics
here. I could be mistaken. It could have been in.
I think it's this one.
It could have been in a different book. But he talks about. Yeah, it's right here. I even went to the right page. Okay. So it's talking about the statement of man's creation, and how the image and likeness has always been a puzzle to people who read scriptures literally, and that this is an allegory. The story is an allegory. But then he goes on to say that this is more than an allegory. It is a description of the ideal creation. In their calculations, engineers often use mathematical symbols like the letters X, Y, and Z to represent qualities not yet given precise determination, but carried along for the development at the proper time. Involved in these symbols are ideas that are to be brought out in their proper order and made visible when the engineer's plans are objectified. Mm-hmm. So man's plan in his mind, that which he proposes to build. First the idea and then the visible. So basically what your teacher was doing was using the allegory to bring out things in the students that were in their proper order and made visible when it was supposed to be. And we do that in creating anything.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the seed idea. So he planted a seed in all of the students and just to give you the objective of discovery.
There's one path you can walk down.
Right. And some people took it up like you did, and you still ponder it. And others probably never thought about it for a second.
Maybe didn't even hear him say it.
Right, yeah.
Right over
It
the
went right over their head
Yeah.
because it wasn't concrete enough for them to grasp hold of. All right. So tomorrow, unless anybody has anything else to say for today. So tomorrow or tonight, take time to reflect on your journey through Genesis and the 7 steps of creation. So just, review in your mind the overwhelm of information that you've received this week.
Sure.
And if you feel moved, you can read the rest of Mysteries of Genesis through page 28 or Let There Be Light through page 19. Isn't it interesting that we only read 28 pages of Mysteries of Genesis and 19 pages of Let There Be Light, and we had a whole week's 10 hours of lessons from that.
I'm surprised we got that far.
So 47 pages.
Wow.
In addition to the Bible verses. All right. Anything else we need to say today before we leave?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I am going to actually close today in prayer. Blessed Spirit, moving in and through us, thank you for this time as we have awakened to our story, to mind its treasures. Each one of us is here to share our gifts and make a difference in our lives and the lives of others. We are grateful for the discoveries and the blessings that have come forth today and those that are yet to come. We affirm that Spirit is ever present in us as we continue to walk this journey. In this truth, we are blessed. And so it is. Amen. All right. See you guys all later. I'm not even sure who all we had on.